Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am discussing all my luxury beauty products I am throwing in the trash. So these are basically my 2021 luxury beauty empties. I actually went through a decent amount looking at what's in this bag. I'm quite impressed. I want to keep this trajectory going throughout 2022 and use up products that I already have because I don't want to be wasteful. It just seems like such a waste to have just makeup sitting in your drawer. It's just like money that's just sitting in your drawer. So I definitely want to continue with this theme throughout 2022, and I will be doing a project pan and just being very mindful. I think that's important. So let's just get started. I went through not only one, I went through 3 Dior Forever Correct concealers. So this was kind of collected throughout November 2020 up until now. I started collecting a little bit before last year because I never did an empties of 2020. So these are obviously more than just a year's worth of concealer, but I have gone on and on how much I enjoy this concealer. This is just one of my favorite concealers of all time because I can not only use it on the under eyes, I can also use it on the face as well. This is a concealer that works well in both areas. And I like a concealer that I can apply on both my under eyes and my face just because it makes it a little bit more efficient, and especially if I don't want to wear foundation throughout the day. Now currently I am working from home because my office just has some people working from home, and so I do get the luxury of having the ability to work from home. So sometimes I don't want to wear a full face of makeup when I'm not going to be seeing clients on like a one-on-one basis. So it's just nice to feel put together, but not over the top. And this concealer is what does that for me. I like to use this in combination with the Chanel Water Fresh Tint. It makes for a beautiful no makeup kind of look that I just think looks perfect for daily use. So this is a continuous repurchase. This is something that I have repurchased, and I already have one in my makeup drawer currently. So this is an empty that I definitely suggest. I don't have any more concealers, but I actually have 2 Air Flash foundations. So again, Dior is just nailing it out of the park. So this is the Dior Air Flash foundation. Both of these were in the shade 321, and they'd start to get a little bit worn in once you use them quite a bit. Like it stops looking like a luxurious foundation because this starts to like crinkle and wear off and all that stuff. But I just love this foundation. This is a beautiful, I tend to actually not use it for every day unless I'm mixing it in with a foundation. So some of my favorite things to do with this foundation is actually use it as a mix-in. And what that does is when I mix it in with a more luminous or hydrating foundation, it allows me to get that same beautiful effect from the hydrating and more radiant foundation, but I get a bit more longevity. And sometimes if you have a more dewy foundation that's maybe a little more light coverage, it's not going to have the same longevity as like obviously a matte foundation. But when I add this foundation to those more dewy foundations, I do get a bit more of that longevity. And this mixes well with literally anything, any foundation I've ever mixed it with, any primer, any concealer. This just wears well with anything you pair it with. So that makes it a really easy choice, especially if I'm doing something for a more special occasion when I know it will look good with any powder combination, any primer, like I said. This is just a fail-safe kind of option. And I just love how this looks on the skin. It doesn't look overdone. And now I really like this foundation because while it has pretty decent coverage, the texture of this foundation is very thin. So you're never going to look like you're wearing too much makeup. You just get a beautiful skin perfecting look. And it does kind of give you that airbrush effect, which is why if I'm using this foundation on its own, I tend to use it for more like special occasions, if I'm going out for dinner, if I have an event or something like that. But I'll tell you some of my favorite combinations to mix that I use as like a mix-in. So I love this with the Chanel Sublimage L'Essence de Tint, beautiful combination. I love this with the Surratt Dewdrop foundation, that is also stunning. And if I want something that's like super, super long wearing, but I still allow my skin to look like skin, the Clé de Peau Radiant Foundation Natural, that also looks beautiful in combination. This looks really beautiful in combination as well with the Clé de Peau, the foundation, because that foundation is very almost emollient. And while it looks so luxurious and beautiful on the skin, if I just want to add a little bit more longevity to that foundation, I add this and it just enhances all my other kind of dewy, lighter coverage products. And then I'll use this with the Chanel Water Fresh Tint. I'll kind of use the Water Fresh Tint as a foundation and then use this almost as a concealer in just certain areas. Just love that foundation. So that is something, again, I do have a backup already in my makeup drawer, so that is a repurchase for me. And next, Let's move on to bronzers. So I have a few liquid bronzers, and then I actually have one powder bronzer as well. So the first that I have is the Drunk Elephant Bronzy Anti-Pollution Sunshine Drops. So I really like this, mostly mixing in with my SPFs or my primers or moisturizers. I don't tend to actually like this as a bronzer because it is very red toned and it has a sheen to it. So this works really well, again, especially with an SPF, because SPFs can leave a little bit of a white cast on your face. So to prevent getting a white cast on my face, and especially if I just don't want to wear makeup for the day, just using this on the face is really nice. So I do have a backup of this, but the backup is in my skincare drawer because I, again, tend to just mix it in with my SPF. And then the other bronzer that I went through is the Shantakai Radiance Gel Bronzer. This I like better than the Drunk Elephant, and I'll explain why. This doesn't have as much as a sheen as the Drunk Elephant, and it also is, while it's very warm toned, it's not as red toned as the Drunk Elephant. So I find that this mixes into foundations better. If, say, my foundation is just a little bit too light, I can actually mix this into my foundation. I also like to mix this into like a tinted moisturizer or anything if I just want a bit more color. And this is an amazing liquid bronzer. This is perfect in the summertime if you're just going for that kind of light makeup look, but you don't want your product to move throughout the day. So I love to wear this. Again, I feel like I'm mentioning the Chanel Water Fresh Tint so much, but I love to wear the Chanel Water Fresh Tint and use this as a bronzer because both those products are very similar, and when they set down on the skin, they are not going to move. So this would also be a great bronzer to use in like a really hot climate because it's not going to be transferring on the skin or anything. So once it sets onto the skin, it sets and doesn't move, which also makes it a little more finicky to work with because it does dry down on the skin. So I would suggest if you try this out to just work with a little bit of product at a time. But I really like this. And I did not purchase a backup because Shantakai actually sent me a backup of this product. So I probably would have eventually repurchased it, but I wouldn't have repurchased it right away. So just to get heads up, like I really enjoy this, but it's just not something I use all the time. I tend to use it more in the summer months or when it's just really hot and humid, or say I'm going on vacation or something, because it's just easy and convenient to pack as well. But yeah, that's that product. And then the last bronzer I went through is the Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Airbrush Bronzer, and I used up the shade medium. So I don't know, I do like this bronzer, but I just think there are other matte bronzers that are better than this. Like I like the Dior bronzer better that's matte. I also prefer the Guerlain bronzers over this. And while I do like this, it has the same tendency as the Airbrush Flawless Setting Powder, that it is quite powdery and you go through it really quick. So while it seems like quite a lot of product in here, because it's so powdery and finely milled and it's not like a big gelée or anything, it's just a straight up powder, you tend to run through it really fast because, again, of how finely milled it is. And I like it on the skin, but I just think there's more flattering matte bronzers. And then the other problem that I have with this is because the layer of powder is really thin in here, like it's not like in a thick compact. When you hit pan on it, it just starts to crumble and break because, again, it's so finely milled. So I probably only hit pan like around this area, and then all of a sudden it just started breaking off into pieces, and you had to be like so careful where you were sitting it down, and it just crumbled into nothing. So I just ended up throwing out the crumbles of bronzer because it was kind of pointless. So that's kind of my only hesitation with this product. And again, I just feel like there's more flattering bronzers on the market. Now I do have this already in the shade 310, so I will not be repurchasing the shade medium. And I don't know if I will. I mean, it's obviously going to be a little more affordable repurchasing it because I only have to buy the refill, which I'm really glad that she did that for this product because, again, you do run through it a little faster than other powder bronzers that I have experience with, like the Guerlain bronzer I've had in my collection for years. I have never hit pan on it, and I use it probably just the same amount as this one. So while I really enjoy it and I like to use it again, I use it on my eyes all the time. It's just convenient, and I will keep this as a mirror. And then again, if I do choose to refill it, but I am not going to be repurchasing it currently or right now because, again, I have a shade deeper that I can use, and it's just not one of my favorites right at the moment. I almost forgot about this foundation because it's just in this little compact thing. So I actually went through one of the Shantakai Future Skin cushions in the shade Nude. So this just comes in that refillable compact. So when you buy the cushion foundation, it comes with the foundation in the cushion, and then you get a backup. So I have gone through one of these, and I think it was 0.5 fluid ounces. So basically, when you buy this foundation, you do get the full 1 fluid ounce, but it just comes in 2 packages. Because it is a cushion, they expire quite a lot quicker than normal foundations that are in like a jar or in a pump style. But I really love this foundation. Again, it actually reminds me so much of the Dior Air Flash, the finish that you get on the skin. This just has a bit of a lighter coverage and maybe just a bit more skin-like. Like it's not as matte on the skin. You get a little bit, a teensy bit of radiance, and it just looks so blurred on the skin. Your skin looks really smooth and perfected. You get that really beautiful kind of blurred effect, and you get that kind of filtered effect as well. So I really enjoy this when I want my skin to look a little bit more perfected. I'd say this is a medium coverage foundation. You definitely can't build it up past medium coverage, like it's nowhere near full coverage. But I think this just looks really beautiful. It's transfer resistant. It holds up really well, especially in the summertime if you want to wear your makeup for quite a while, or it's just really hot outside and you don't want it to transfer or fade away or look creasy or anything. This just wears very beautifully and it makes your skin look smooth and lovely. So again, I already have my backup that I'm currently using, but this is something that I will repurchase, and I'm so glad they have these refillable options because it's just so nice that you don't have to go out and buy the full new foundation. You can just get a refillable compact, and it's going to be a little bit more affordable because you already have the mechanism that holds the foundation. And I'm just loving this kind of refillable style that a lot of makeup brands are doing. So again, I won't be repurchasing right away, but when I do run out of the backup of this one, then I will definitely repurchase because I just really love how this looks on the skin. And I actually have another concealer as well. I was just hiding at the bottom of this bag. So the other concealer I went through is the Giorgio Armani Power Fabric Concealer in the shade 4.5. This I will not repurchase. I don't really have much to say about this because I just don't really like it. So the problem I have with this concealer is that I like it for like the first 3 weeks, and then it just starts drying out so quickly that I never end up using it because it doesn't look the same as it does the first month that you have this product. It just dries out and starts looking dry on the under eyes. I feel like I do have to set this concealer if I wear it. So it's just not a favorite. I don't really love how it looks on the under eyes, especially after a month, and it's just not my favorite concealer. The consistency is nice, but that is something that I would not suggest you pick up and that I am not repurchasing. And then I just have 2 powders to mention. So the first one I'll mention because it's more of a favorite. This is the Sicily Blur Expert Powder. So this was a baked powder, so you can see the little grid that it's baked on. Mine actually broke, so I still had like 1 piece left, but I just thought, you know what, that's just silly to keep. I'm going to buy a new one. And I did buy a backup of this. Sicily had like a 20% off sale for Black Friday, so I did pick up another one, and again, you'll see that in a haul that's coming up. But this I actually don't like as a powder. This is the most amazing primer. So what you do is you just use like a dense brush because it is a baked gelée powder, and you just kind of pounce it onto your skin, and I really focus on like my pore areas and then like maybe in my chin. I just kind of take the excess powder around my face, and you apply this before concealer and foundation. You literally use this as your primer. So this will not provide hydration to your skin, but this does the most amazing job of blurring and perfecting your skin. So I don't use this for every day. I use this for special occasions, or when I want my makeup to look a little more special, or when I want it to be very long lasting, I will use this product. So this is something maybe I'll reach for again for a birthday, for an event. I'll reach for it more in the summertime when maybe my makeup has a tendency to fade away throughout the day, because this really does help prevent that. But you get the most filtered effect to your skin. You get the most pore perfecting look to your skin. It is amazing what this does for the texture of your skin if you use it underneath foundation. And then also it does a little bit of color correcting. I don't know if it adds any coverage, maybe like the hint, like the slightest hint, even less coverage than like the Chanel Water Fresh tint. So you get like a tiny bit, but I think because it does such a great job of blurring the texture on your skin, and you actually don't need as much foundation over top. So when I use this as a primer, I never go in with as much foundation because my skin just looks already perfected without having that coverage to my skin. So this is just a phenomenal primer if you want that really skin perfected, skin blurred look, that Instagram filtered effect to your face. This is the go-to product. So I have already repurchased it, and I would definitely suggest it. And also I have the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder in the shade number 2 medium. I already do have a backup of this, so this is another repurchase. And let me just say about this powder, I enjoy it. I think it's a perfectly decent powder. It sets your makeup down, it doesn't look too heavy, but because I have these 2 powders in my collection, so the Clé de Peau Perfect Blur Finishing Powder, and now my new favorite Clé de Peau Refining Pressed Powder, these are just such a step above this powder that I don't think I'll repurchase this unless I'm like just running errands and just want to set my face and I don't really want anything special on my face. That's kind of when I use this powder. Or if maybe I want to like blend my eyeshadows out a little bit, I'll use a bit of this powder because I'm not going to use my really special powders. But these are just another level above this powder. And it's funny because I used to think this was the best. Nothing could be better than this powder. Nothing is more blurring and perfecting. But there is, because these 2 powders, specifically the Clé de Peau one, I will just forever repurchase this. And I love the Clé de Peau one specifically because you don't have to keep buying the compact of the powder. You can just buy the refill. Now that I have the case, I just have to buy the refill and I'm good to go. And I just love how this looks on my skin. And these powders kind of do 2 different things. Like, they do the same thing in that they really perfect the skin. They're pore blurring and smoothing, that filtered effect. But the Shantakai one is just a little heavier on the skin. Like, it adds a teeny bit of coverage. And if you have any discoloration on your skin, it kind of corrects that a little bit. But the Clé de Peau one is completely translucent. It adds no coverage. It just adds that pore blurred, perfecting effect to your skin. It is the most smoothing powder, the most finely milled, refined powder that I've ever tried. And because I just am so obsessed with those ones, I'm kind of just hesitant to say that I'll repurchase this because in comparison to those, it's just kind of like a meh powder. It's still decent, like it's still a good powder. But I just like those ones more. So for now, I will not be repurchasing it, but I'm not going to say never. Maybe once I run out of my other one that I have, I will. I guess we'll just wait and see on that one. But those are my thoughts on the Charlotte Tilbury. And then let's move on to eyes. So I have a few mascaras. So the first item I have gone through is the Dior Maximize the 3D Lash Primer. This is my holy grail lash primer. I really do think this makes a difference in conditioning my lashes. It really sets the tone for adding mascara over top. It adds that definition, that length, that volume, so that I only need to go in with maybe 1 coat of mascara, and it really makes such a difference. I really love this lash primer. For me, I just think it really enhances my mascaras in such a beautiful way. So for me, and again, I don't wear false lashes, so for me, this is a must. This is a repurchase. I currently have a backup that I'm already using. And then I have 3 of the Pat McGrath Dark Star mascaras that I went through this year. And I'd say this is the problem with this mascara because I've already gone through 3 and it hasn't even been a full year. These are supposed to last 6 months. But the tendency with this mascara is that it starts, the tendency this mascara has is that about after 3 months, it really starts drying out. And I love how it looks on my lashes. It gives me the perfect amount of length and volume and separation, but it does start drying out at month 3. And then by month 4, it really starts flaking and smudging. But I just love how my lashes look, and I never found a mascara, that made my lashes look so beautiful. So I just kept on repurchasing because I just thought, whatever, I love how this looks, even though I have to repurchase it more often. And the same went for the Pat McGrath Fetish Eyes mascara. This was even less long-lasting than the Dark Star mascara. This probably only lasted 3 months, while I could get 4 months out of this. So while I recommend them for how they look on the lashes, it's not the most foolproof mascara because it does start getting bad and starts kind of getting transfer at month 4. So now I have found my holy grail Kiera Weiss Impossible mascara. So now that I have the Kiera Weiss one, and so far it has lasted me, I think I've had it for 3 months now. No transferring, no smudging. I don't get any of those black marks or flecks or flakes throughout the day. So for me, I'm just going to continue to repurchase the Kiera Weiss, and I believe that one's refillable as well. And I can't believe it, but I actually have an eyeshadow to talk about in this Empties video. So this is the Shantakai Luminescent Eye Shade in the shade Lion. So you can see, again, it is a baked powder, so it kind of has that grid. And you can see it's actually kind of messy. I could probably still use like a little bit of this, but I'm sorry, that's just too messy for me to have in my collection. It just kind of, now I just have shimmer everywhere. But this is my favorite of all time, one and done eyeshadow. This is something, especially throughout 2020 when we weren't really going places, didn't really have much to do. I was hanging out at home a lot more. This is my favorite one and done eyeshadow because I just popped it on the lid, added mascara, and I was good to go. This just looks spectacular. It looks beautiful on the eyes. It adds a beautiful luminescence to the eyes, but it's never overdone. Now you do get a little bit of shimmer to this, but to me it's not a gritty glitter. It doesn't have chunks of glitter. I don't like anything chunky. I don't like anything that, I like a really refined shimmer most of the time. That's very a continuous shimmer that's very soft and subtle. This is definitely amped up, which I think makes it a beautiful one and done shade because it has a lot of dimension to it. So you don't need to add multiple different colors to kind of add that dimension to this look. You just get it from applying this. But I just love how this sparkles. And again, while there is shimmer particles to it, it's not as continuous as like a sheen or a shimmer eyeshadow. It just has a little bit more fleck to it. It's, again, I don't want to say chunky glitter because it is absolutely not chunky at all. It just gives you the most elegant and sophisticated look that you just look so put together. You look so beautiful. It is not over the top. I love this shade, and it's the perfect bronze. It's like a golden bronze shade. It has some gold to it, but it's not too orange, but it's not too taupe or cool toned either. It's the perfect neutral bronze, but I just feel confident to wear this for any occasion. I can wear it during the day. I just probably wouldn't add any eyeliner or anything. I can also wear it at night, and when you use these wet, so you can use these wet or dry, you just get a little more of an amped up version, so it's more opaque. It's not as sheer as when you use it dry. And because, again, you kind of can manipulate the coverage that you get with this eyeshadow, I think it makes it for a beautiful any occasion because you can apply it in a sheer way. You could use it for everyday use. So I love this, and I have repurchased a backup, so I currently have the backup in my collection. And then I have a few eyeliners that I went through as well. So the Milk Boss Longwear Gel Liner, it's the shade Boss, which was a black eyeliner. They do not make this anymore, which is very sad. They discontinued it because I loved that for my tight line. And it's so hard to find a tight line that is so long wearing and lasts a really long time. So that's unfortunate. I also went through the Tom Ford Dominator Emotion Proof Eyeliner. Again, they're not making this anymore, but this was very comparable to the Milk Boss eyeliner in that it didn't transfer from my tight line. It wore well all day long. So really sad you can't get that. And then the one I've been currently using is the Patrick Ta. This is the Precision Gel Liner in the shade Black. Now I do really like this, but the problem I have is when you get 3/4 of the way through, the eyeliner just completely dries out and you can no longer apply it to your tight line in that ease of application that you have initially. So this is the best one I've found to replace these, but I'm still not completely satisfied. So I'm trying to find something better. So this is not a holy grail. I did repurchase it because I just haven't found anything better. So I'm wondering, I did purchase the Victoria liner in the shade Black. So I'll try that out and see if that can replace it. I'm curious about the Shantakai. They came out with the brightening eye gel in the shade Black. So I think I'm going to try that one out too to see if that will be better in my tight line. So I will definitely update you. So I only have one thing of skincare, and it's not because I only went through one thing of skincare this year. It's because I forgot and I just ended up throwing them out. But I did save one thing because I finally remembered in like November to collect that stuff. But this is the Bioderma Sensibo Light. This is a soothing cream for sensitive and tolerant skin. I have extremely dry, extremely sensitive skin. I basically only use like 3 products in my skincare routine because I am too afraid to try anything else because everything makes me break out or react or just become super sensitive to. So this is the best moisturizer I have ever found for my sensitive skin. It does not make me break out. It does not make my skin red. It does not make my skin dry or flaky. I never have a reaction to this. So this is just a fail-safe. Great, fantastic for sensitive skin. If you are someone who struggles with most moisturizers on the market because they just contain fragrance and ingredients that unfortunately react with sensitive skin, this is a must for me. So that is something I repurchased. So lip products was something that I really struggled to go through this year because with the mask situation, I'm just not wearing lip products as much, or I'm basically just wearing a lip liner and lip balm. But I went through a decent amount. I'm definitely going to be better about going through my lipsticks this year and kind of rotating them. But I went through 2 of the Charlotte Tilbury lip cheats in the shade Pillow Talk. This is my Holy Grail lip liner. I just find this tone so flattering on my skin color and my tone and everything. It's just my Holy Grail lip liner. I love it. It has great longevity. It just preps your lips for either lipstick or lip gloss great over top. If you do make a mistake, you can kind of just smudge it out without worry. But it does set down after like, I don't know, 5 minutes, but it sets down and it never feels dry throughout the day. A very beautiful lip liner. I love that it just glides on the lips, never leaves your lips feeling dry, but it glides with ease as well. But not too much with ease where you're just going to get lip liner everywhere and it's too creamy. It just is the perfect consistency, perfect texture. And again, it works almost like a lipstick because a lot of the time I just use this as my lip liner and lipstick and just fill in my lips and then apply a lip balm over top and I'm good to go. So this, again, I have repurchased already. And then I went through 2, they're almost, I don't even want to call them lipsticks, they're basically like tinted lip balms because that is just my favorite thing to use as a lipstick, essentially. I just find them very comfortable, hydrating. They're easy to touch up. You can throw them in your handbag. They just look very flattering and luscious on the lips. So the first one I went through is the Charlotte Tilbury Princess Kiss. This is all the way up, so I can't even really get a swatch for you, but it's basically a tinted lip balm. It's very similar to the Chanel Rouge Coco Flash, but it's a little bit more waxy in consistency. So in comparison to the Chanel Rouge Coco Flash, that one feels a little more oily almost. This one will have a bit more longevity because, again, it almost clings to your lips a little better and it feels a little bit waxy. So it will just last on the lips a little bit more. But it still has that same comfortable effect. It kind of reminds me of the Shantakai lip veils, but maybe you get a bit more coverage with the Shantakai lip veils. But this is just a beautiful sheer tinted lip balm. And then the other product I went through is the Shantakai Beach Rose tinted, what is this even called? Lip Tint Hydrating Balm. Very similar to this product, but it's not as waxy. So like you don't get, like you get more glide on this. It almost, again, feels a little more oily. It's very similar to the Chanel Rouge Coco Flashes. It kind of has that same consistency, but probably a little more emollient. You probably get a little bit less of a tint effect. But this was just perfect for me when I applied it over top of my lip liner. Applied it throughout the day. It gives you just a very subtle hint of color. It's not opaque. You're going to have to touch these kind of products up, but they're just my favorite. And again, I think because they do have that kind of like oily, again, and it's not oily at all, it doesn't smudge throughout the day or anything, but because they just glide on the lips, I think that's why they run out a little bit sooner. Actually, no, I just tend to use these over lipsticks more, so that's probably why I went through them a lot easier. But yeah, that is everything for my empties of 2021. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I wanted to go in depth about these products because I wanted you to know if I recommend them or not, because obviously I think that's very important. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know the products that you went through in 2021. I would love to hear that because I'm always so curious what other people go through. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave your comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like this video if you like it. And I'll see you in my next video.